they're really trying to lock down the way not only we see things, but the way we're allowed to discuss them. And so there's no freedom of speech. When Obama signed NDAA when he was in office, I said then on Twitter, this is the death of comedy.
Yeah.
It's called comedy because, now you are not allowed to say, just like any regular Stalinist government, when you say something that they think is offensive, they'll just ruin you. They don't think twice about it.
Right.
They do it as fast as they can. It's a reflex. They got to shut it all down because people are not allowed to know or to discuss in this country the anti-Semitism of the Democratic Party.
Right.
And that's my walk away moment. And was in 2012 when I ran for president, and I was the candidate of the Peace and Freedom Party, which is a socialist party. And all my life I was a socialist. I'm also Jewish. And when I was addressing the delegates all across the country, which I did by Skype, because I wanted to have the first presidential candidacy that was all social media based. And I did. And but when I would address those delegates in every state, these are socialists, and they would, there'd be a portion where and I ran on the nationalizing the Federal Reserve. That was one of my, because I really put a lot of thoughts. I've always been very political and a political writer. And so, I put all these things that those of us who really want to see change happen, real change, we already formulated all these ideas in the 60s, But when I would address the delegates and it would come time for them to question me, most of their questions, almost always first, was about Israel. And it just really stuck in my craw. And it stuck in my craw big time in Florida because it was right around the time that Trayvon Martin was shot. And I wanted to address the stand your ground gun laws there.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to hear me condemn Israel. And I said, well, I have family in Israel and I'm a Jew, so I probably have a different idea than you. And also because it is, in many ways a socialist state, or was then. And just their complete anti-Semitism and hatred of only one country on earth, the only Jewish one. It just started to melt me down. And they didn't care about this country at all. They didn't care about the wrongs in this country. They didn't care about social justice in this country. They never wanted to discuss labor rights, which I was a socialist because it's about labor rights, They didn't want to discuss anything but how terrible Israel is. And any other country on earth you might have a problem with, like a lot of people have trouble with the United States. But they don't say all Americans need to be driven into the sea and the country destroyed. I mean, it's just so bigoted. And those are the people that took over the Green Party, the socialist movement, and moved into the Democratic Party. Because when they ran Bernie, they saw, I really think that the whole thing is that the Green Party and the Democrat Party, they're going to join for 2020. Because nobody's voting Democrat too much anymore after everything that the Democrat Party has been involved in. And the more that comes to light, the more people will walk away too. But it really is about globalism versus nationalism. And I don't mean the worst kind of nationalism, but that there would be nation states instead of one great big pool of slaves for people like Hillary Clinton to lord over.
Right.